this is kind of the spirit of Christmas. I was sharing with the children, or some of the children here at Ananda Village, a story that I came across recently I'd like to briefly share with you. And this is a story of Martin. He's a shoemaker in Russia. And Martin was an old man who lived alone, and he spent his days mending shoes, and in the evenings he would read his beloved Bible and think of Christ. And so he carried out this simple and humble life. And one evening, after mending shoes, he lit his lamp, and as he was reading the Bible, he came across a passage where a wealthy man had invited Christ into his home. And Martin got to thinking that evening, reflecting upon this, what if Christ came to my home? How would I receive him? Oh, how I wish Jesus could come to me. And as he read the Bible there, he kind of drifted off to sleep. And in a sort of semi-conscious state, he thought he heard the words spoken to him, I will come to you tomorrow. And strangely, he thought, perhaps Christ will come, or at any rate, someone will come tomorrow. And so expectantly, the next day, he built his little fire there at his hearth and put on the tea kettle. And as he looked outside, the only person he saw was the street sweeper, a friend, Stefan, who was out in the bitter cold. And so he called to him and said, Stefan, come inside by the fire. And he warmed himself there and gave him some tea. And Martin gave him some old gloves and said, please come and warm yourself by my fire anytime. And he went about to his work. And later that morning, again looking out expectantly as he mended some shoes, Martin saw a woman, a mother with a little child in her arms, again in the biting cold. And again, he invited them in. Come and sit by my fire. It's not much, but here's some warm tea. And he found a little milk for the child, and there in an old trunk he had some money that he had saved up, and he gave it to the woman to buy food. And again, with a grateful heart, she went on her way. And later that day, his expectations perhaps waning, there was some commotion outside in the marketplace, and Martin stepped out to see an old woman. She was chasing after a child, a boy who had stolen an apple from her cart. And he called out for mercy as she was going to strike the child. And he said, old mother, here. He gave his last coin and said, give him the apple. And the boy, saying sorry, offered to carry her basket back to the cart and apologized. And so again, Martin went inside, and darkness was falling, and no one had come. But he lit his lamp, and there, reading his Bible once again that evening, Martin found himself again in that semi-conscious state, when again the voice came to him, Martin, I've come to you. And this time Martin felt a presence and looked around him, and there he saw, as if a ghost, he saw Stefan, the street sweeper, he saw the woman and child, and again he saw the boy and the old mother with the apples, and he thought, Christ came to me today. He came to me in this form and in these forms, and his eyes alighted to the Bible before him, and he read the words of Christ. Whatever you have done to the least of my brethren, you have done to me. It said, when I hungered, you gave me food. When I thirsted, you gave me drink. And when I was a stranger, you took me in. And so living in community, my friends, all of us have this divine love and kindness. We are Kriya Yogis, we are disciples of a great guru, and we have these tremendous blessings of seeking God, of ascending to the Father through the Christ consciousness. But let's not forget also that in these little ways, perhaps as great as Nai Swami Anandi said in a recent letter to the community, we live in a paradise of love and kindness. And even these small acts to one another, to a stranger, to oneself even, of divine love, of divine consciousness, will bring us through the Christ consciousness to to God. And to that, I say thank you, God and Gurus, for this great blessing.